Okay, well, right up ahead here is where my camera stopped by itself. Last time I was walking through mentioning that this is going to be a comparison with the area that the cow pasture burned out over there and the deer down there. And here we are again. Whoopsie. I don't really know how to work this stuff very well yet. But this is a continuation. There goes the turkey flying out of the mango tree. Not the best sign. Anyway, this is the area, right? This is right across the street from the area which has been left pretty much to the deer. You can kind of see it over the fence line there. And left to the cattle. No cattle out there now, of course, because there just isn't enough moisture in the area to even pasture one cow per acre, probably. So here we are in the middle of an orchard of mostly king mangoes that have been probably 25, 30 years in the ground. It's one of the last parts of the property we planted out in orchard. So I'm thinking maybe 35 years that these trees have been in. Yeah, 30, 35. You can see it's pretty shady all through here, even though these Chinaberry trees aren't everywhere. They do provide a nice canopy. There goes another turkey. But yeah, walking around in here, it's a little bit later in the day, so the sun's over yonder, but nice and cool. And nice feeling of moisture throughout the system. We do have everything on timers. You can see over here. They're just little battery operated jobs. And they work quite well. We have a couple of hoses going out with sprinklers, and we change those out every few days to accommodate what needs it. And not much by way of maintenance in that sense. So the one thing to be particularly aware of, I think, is the productivity in the amount of space that we're walking through now. And that's compared to really no productivity across the street or in the cattle pasture. And there aren't any cows out there. And I don't know the stats on how productive pasturing cattle really is, what the economics of it are. I'll have to look into that. It'd be interesting. So wanted to mention a word about Everywhen and wandering Everywhen. That came about because of a study that I read an article about, actually, that was conducted by an Australian anthropologist who was fascinated by the concept of dream time, which is a kind of a common name for the Aborigines' sense of time in Australia. But he saw it as just sort of a non-linear expression of time and wanted to experience that more deeply. So he went and lived with those guys for a while. And came to find out that they really don't think in terms of linear time. But their measure of time is in noticing when people have moments of epiphany and revelation. And they have determined over the millennia, really, for those guys, that this is 3-4 times in a lifetime people have deep, meaningful epiphanies. And each of those times is the determining factor of a person's age. Now, I didn't really look into it enough to see if it was a certain type of epiphany that indicated that you were an older soul, or that you had more insight, or if you had a progression of epiphanies from a young epiphany to a mature epiphany. But this is how they determined where people were at, and a measure of time that kind of defies the traditional meanings. So after living with them for a while and getting to understand all this a little bit better, he came up with the term Everywhen to describe that sense of time. Everywhen. It's a little bit of a brain teaser, but can relate to it walking around here, because there is that sense of timelessness, no linear time, just time as a measure of succession and as a measure of abundance. And yeah, every now and then as a measure of revelation. Just to see the difference walking around in here is what it would be walking around in that cow pasture. So Everywhen. And then, scare the bird away, did you know that the thing that animals fear the most, the sound that animals fear the most, is the human voice? That's pretty wild. Yeah, so anyway, another Australian anthropologist decided to go to Botswana and study some of the last remaining hunter-gatherer tribes in Kalahari Desert, mostly Bushmen. And he spent a bunch of time with them. He was interested to find out how they divvied up the workloads and how much people actually had to work in the course of a week to keep the community thriving. Let me just put this avocado in the other day. Still has its tag on it. Boy, it's looking nice for just having been transplanted recently. This is all the worts, W-U-R-T-Z, and it's a dwarf avocado. So it'll fit in right nice here next to the ohia tree, which will grow up to 25, 30 feet. And this mango tree, which is fairly slow growing. Oops. So, hung out with these guys for a while and realized that they were very good observers, in the sense that they would watch, and as kids grew up and so on, and what they were inclined to do for play, you know, and some of the kids are better at foraging herbs, and some are better at diving for fish and spearing fish and all that stuff. So eventually people fit into their space and fit in well. So with that system running efficiently, and if there aren't heavy droughts or, you know, poaching of animals and such, which there always seems to be, these guys figure to work around 15 hours a week, and that was what the anthropologist surmised after spending time with them and cruising around with them and seeing what they do. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. It's not a lot more here because there's a lot of sort of in-between time when one can contemplate what's going on and be having creative visions of what's next. But I thought it was funny. His ultimate revelation was that that 15 hours a week is comprised of activity that we in the West would consider leisure time activity. So let's go hunting, let's go fishing, let's go collect berries, let's go preserve some food for the winter and stuff like that. I'm gonna put these guys to sleep because it's getting late. Hi, little ones. So all you need to do basically is turn the light off and close the door, and they all huddle up together in the corner and call it a night. Kind of cute. So I thought, well, geez, sounds a lot like my life, because we, shoot turkeys and take a deer every now and then, collect a pig every now and then, so we got the whole meat and the whole egg thing down, and gathering food all the time, really. So in a certain way, this sort of puzzle to my place in life, because I'm sort of an oddball, came together, and it came together in the image of a person who now thinks of themselves as a hunter-gatherer from Everywhen. So there you go. Thus the title, Wandering Everywhen, and the vocation of being a hunter-gatherer, because when you design a successful permaculture system, there is always abundance. And as Bill so wisely said, care of the earth, care of people, and sharing out the surplus. So, thanks again, Bill. I hope this little comparative analysis has been fun for y'all.